Okay, hi, good evening everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. My name's Ivana Ruger. I'm a certified nutritionist. I have a degree in complementary medicine. I used to be a personal trainer. I'm a health professional and I'm a massive health advocate. So tonight I'm going to be sharing with you some important information on coronavirus and how you can protect yourself and your family. There's so much worry and fear at the moment about everything that's happening and what we're seeing globally, which is affecting the economy as well. So we can't control some of these things. We can't control countries going into lockdown. We can't control schools being shut down. But you know what we can control? We can control how we look after our health. We can control how we protect ourselves. So tonight is going to give you, tonight I'm going to give you a whole lot of information about the coronavirus and mostly about how you can really boost your health, how you can boost your immune system. And, you know, at the end of the day, knowledge is power. So when you've got knowledge, you can really look after yourself and you can really look after, the people that are in your life as well. So please take notes. I hope you've got your pen and paper ready. Please put your phones on silent, and remember, what you learn tonight is only useful if you put it into action. So we're going to get started. Here's a quick overview for what we're going to be covering tonight. I'm going to talk about what coronavirus is, and what the symptoms are, how it spreads and if it's contagious, immediate steps that you should be taking, who's at risk, what you can do to support your health, and also what you can do to boost your immune system. This is really, really important. It's really important to understand what coronavirus is. So I'm going to refer to it as COVID-19 throughout the presentation tonight. What that stands for is CO for corona, VI for virus, D for disease, and 19 for the year 2019. So coronavirus started in December of 2019 in China. And what it is what you can see here on the screen. It's a group of viruses that include the common cold, pneumonia, and also respiratory illness. The severity of the illnesses will vary from person to person, and it really depends on the state of their health and their immune system on how drastically they fall ill. So it's called coronavirus due to the crown, which is created by these viral particles that we can see in the middle here. The viral particles, the RNA, this is the genetic material. It doesn't have its own DNA. So what happens is the RNA hijack the cells in particular, they hijack the DNA of the cell, and then they start to produce their own. And they do this through, you can see on the outside of the cell, the red, that's the cell membrane, and then below that they start to create their own cell membrane. And they also then create their own proteins. Now these proteins are like the little spikes that you can see on the outside of the cell, and it creates an appearance of having its own crown, which is where we get corona from, or the name corona from, what it means. So these proteins, they can now attach to our own cell receptor sites. And you can see that here on this slide. You can see the virus is going to attach to these cell receptors, which are these Y-shaped symbols on the cell with the yellow little ball. So they attach to, all our cells have cell receptor sites in which proteins can attach, and it only attaches like a lock and key. So like a door, you have to have a specific key to get into the door. So it's the same with our receptors on our cells. It needs a certain protein to be able to attach to it. And what we're seeing here is that the virus is able to attach to the receptor, to our receptor cells, receptor sites, sorry, on our cells. Now, what happens is that once it attaches to the receptor site that you can see on the host, which at the moment is us human beings, it then injects its own RNA, which goes into the nucleus of the cell, and hijacks our DNA of our cells. And by doing this, what it can actually do is then produce more viral particles. And those viral particles then surround themselves with some of your cell's membranes, and they produce more proteins, and it can go on to infect many more of your cells. So the symptoms that we're seeing with COVID-19, what you can see on the slide here: headache, sore throat, cough, fever, difficulty of breathing, or shortness of breath. But what you're going to see on the next slide is that the symptoms aren't the same for everyone. So they may vary from person to person, and that the symptoms can take, or the incubation period can take anywhere from 2 to 14 days to show. And the symptoms are then very gradual throughout this period. So I encourage you that if you do experience a high fever, a persistent pain or pressure in the chest, or any sort of confusion, then you really should seek immediate help with your health professional. So this slide shows firstly the symptoms of COVID-19. Then we've also got the column of the symptoms for the cold, and then also the flu. And what you can see is that with the coronavirus, not everyone experiences the same symptoms. You can also see that the symptoms differ between the COVID-19, the cold and flu, but they also overlap as well. So I thought that this was really important because, and I hope you're taking notes, because some of you are a lot of people are falling sick, and they might be anxious around whether they've got COVID-19 or whether it's just a standard common cold or the flu, or vice versa. They might be, really sick with the flu and, not really sure, what their symptoms are. So if we look back at the column with COVID-19, what we can see is that the incubation period is 2 to 21 days. Onset of symptoms are gradual. There can be a fever anywhere from 37 to 39 degrees. And what the 88% represents is that 88% of the population that falls sick with COVID-19 will actually have a fever. There's the symptom of having a cough, which would be a mild to moderate cough, and only 67% of people that have COVID-19 will have a cough. Then you can see the next one's shortness of breath, headache, and sore throat. You can see that the percentage that people will experience these symptoms are drastically lower. So you might have someone who's got COVID-19 that has a high fever and they've got a cough, but they don't experience the next symptoms of headache and shortness of breath. Or you might have someone who's got COVID-19 that has all of those symptoms. Coming across to the cold and flu, incubation period is quite short in comparison. It's 1 to 4 days, but the symptoms are different again. So in the common cold, we have sneezing, we have runny nose. In the flu, there tends to be moderate to severe malaise, which basically means tiredness. And then there's also sometimes nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, sneezing, stuffy runny nose, high fever, usually 39 degrees plus. So when we understand the symptoms of the different viruses that are out there at the moment, we can then start to understand, where someone might be. Now, a quick test that you can do, if you aren't sure if you've got COVID-19 and you've checked your symptoms, this test is recommended by the Stanford Hospital, the Stanford Hospital Board. And what they suggest is that you take a deep belly breath and you hold your breath for 10 seconds. If you can do this without coughing, without discomfort, or any sort of tightness in your chest, then it means that there's no infection in your lungs. If you do this, however, and you do experience difficulty and you have an extremely high fever, then you need to seek medical advice immediately, and please quarantine yourself. Do not go out in public. That's really important. Now, most people contract it by coming in contact with someone else who has it. The virus, someone else who has a virus and is in close proximity to this person. It can be spread from touching hands, from touching contaminated surfaces, and then touching your face, such as your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. The virus can live on hard surfaces for up to 28 days or on fabric for 4 days. So it's really important to make sure that you're sanitizing your surfaces and washing your hands frequently. Now, the virus can also spread through sneezing, so through the air, and also when someone coughs. Now, when someone sneezes, it can produce up to 40,000 saliva micro droplets. And then these can stay airborne from anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Coughing can produce 3,000 micro droplets. And when you're having a conversation with someone, then during that conversation, that can also produce up to 3,000 droplets. So just be really wary of when you're out in public places, and immediate things that you can do is wash your hands. So many people don't practice proper hygiene, and with everything that's happening with coronavirus, a lot of people are becoming more conscious about washing hands. And when we do wash our hands, we want to be doing this for at least 20 to 30 seconds. We want to be using soap. We want to really lather up our hands, and we want to wash them properly. Hand sanitizers are great, but they don't kill bacteria the same way as good old hand washing does. So I encourage you to wash your hands frequently. Now, avoid touching your face. I just did that actually, moving my hair out of my face. This is a golden rule in hospitals. On average, people touch their face 23 times in an hour and they don't even realize it. So you'd be surprised just how often you actually touch your face as well. So become really aware, especially when you're out in public or when you're shopping, because you're handling money with the cashier. You might be getting a coffee from the person behind the cafe, or sitting down at a public table, and these are all ways that the virus can be transmitted, and it's why we're seeing such a big issue at the moment. So make sure that you wash your hands before you go touching your face. Now, if someone is unwell, of course, avoid contact. Avoid being around anyone that's sick. And when you're in public, then you can also wear a face mask. Now, all of these are really great things that we can do. We can put them into place immediately. But what we really want to do is we want to boost our immune system. We really want to boost our health, because these immediate steps, they're really just Band-Aid solutions to what's happening at the moment. Okay, so who's at risk? Well, pretty much everyone's vulnerable at the moment. But the main populations that we see a risk in are the older population, people that are over 75, people that have underlying health conditions and a lowered immune system. Of course, children and pregnant women, and then obviously all of us are vulnerable too. So we want to be just really cautious and take precaution. In saying that, I do want to ease some of the fear around the coronavirus at the moment. And what you can see on this slide is that only 80% of people that get the coronavirus have flu-like symptoms and should stay at home. 13 or almost 14% have severe symptoms and are hospitalized. And we see that around 4.7% are actually critical. They're in intensive care. And obviously there has been, unfortunately, a death toll as well. So I hope this eases some of the worry that there is around the coronavirus at the moment. Definitely we need to be careful. But for the majority of people, it is really just like having a version of the flu. So what can we do to protect ourselves? We really need to be proactive in our health, and not just because we want to prevent coronavirus or the flu or degenerative disease, but so we can truly live a life of vitality, have optimum health, and be our energetic selves. We want to really be the best version of ourselves, and that means being healthy. Now, everyone is worried about the coronavirus and the flu and illnesses coming into the cooler months of the year and into winter. So really, the best defense is these steps here, which I'm going to go through now. So we want to eat nourishing foods. As a nutritionist, I couldn't promote this any more than I do, because I'm all about eating nourishing foods. We want to be eating whole food. plant-based foods. We want to be making sure that we're cutting out and eliminating processed foods, sugary foods, junk foods, fast foods, foods that are microwaved or microwaved instant foods that we see so much of in the supermarkets today, freezer foods, high calorie foods, because all of these foods that I just mentioned, they've got no nutrition. And what they actually do is they dampen our immune system. They rob our body of its nutrients. And I want you to think of it, I want you to think of our body like a bank. Okay, so this is for all the visual people. Imagine every time you eat nourishing food, it's like depositing money into a bank account. And every time you eat foods that are unhealthy, it's like withdrawing money from your bank account. Now, what happens over time? If you're constantly withdrawing from your bank account, you're eventually going to go into deficit and you're eventually going to go bankrupt. And this is exactly what happens to our body when you're constantly costing our body of good nutrition and depleting the nutrition from our body. Suddenly, your body will start to go into deficit and eventually it'll start to break down. And that's when illness and disease occurs. So, eat nourishing foods. So many people don't get their basic nutrition, 5 serves of vegetables plus 2 serves of fruit and, you know, good quality organic whole foods. So really focus on that. Exercise is the next one. So this is also a big one that so many people just don't do. And you know what? It doesn't have to be for hours on end every day. It doesn't have to be crazy gym routines. It can be as simple as going for a walk 3 times a week. It could be doing your favorite activities like swimming, dancing, whatever sort of recreational activity you like that involves, you know, movement, hiking, whatever it might be. And in the Journal of Sport and Health Science, what they actually said was in an article that talks about exercise and boosting immune. What that article stated was acute exercise is an immune system adjuvant, and it improves defense activity and metabolic health. The article also stated that exercise has anti-inflammatory influence mediated through multiple pathways, that habitual exercise improves immune regulation and delays onset of age-related dysfunction. So exercise is super important. The next one I'm going to talk about is adequate sleep. How many people are getting enough sleep at night? You know, we all know that our body repairs during the night and that sleep is vital for health. Without sufficient sleep, your body makes fewer cytokines, and that's a type of protein that targets infection and inflammation and effectively creating an immune response. Now, cytokines, they're both produced and released during sleep, causing a double whammy if you skimp on shut eye. And chronic sleep loss even makes the flu vaccine less effective. I won't go into whether I think the flu vaccine is effective anyway, but we'll leave that one out. But it reduces your body's ability to respond. So sleep is really, really important. And the last 2 I'm going to touch on is oxidative stress and supplementation. Now, these are also really important. I'm going to expand on these notes in the following slide, in the following slides for you. So, oxidative stress. Oxidative stress not only lowers our immune response, but it's linked to so many degenerative conditions as well. And in fact, just recently, there was an interesting interview about the coronavirus, which French scientist Luc Montagnier, who won the Nobel Prize for discovering the HIV virus, and also Ping Fan Rao, who's got a PhD, they discussed the cure for not only coronavirus, but for all viruses. Now, what they said in this interview was that the fundamental problem for all of this specific virus and all other viruses is oxidative stress. Now, what he said was, we need an intervention on a cellular level. Antioxidant production at a rate that will be effective. Our cells are weakened because of many environmental factors, and this is what produces oxidative stress. Eliminating or lowering oxidative stress is the key factor to combating these viruses and in turn, will boost our immune system. So what we're hearing is that lowering our oxidative stress is key to being healthy. So this is so important. So here's a good example of what oxidative stress looks like and what it does. Now, oxidative stress occurs, tongue twister there for a moment, I don't know why, due to all the toxins in our environment, the preservatives, additives, chemicals on our foods, in our water, the air we breathe, the EMFs that are in our Wi-Fi, our phone. It's from our emotional stress, our physical stress that we're under, and it's also from biochemical processes like breathing and creating energy. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got an example of an apple, and over a period of time, that apple starts to shrivel or oxidize. Another example is cutting that apple open and leaving it on the kitchen top, and you would see that very quickly it would start to go brown, also known as oxidation. Now, down the bottom, you can see what our normal healthy cell looks like, and you can see over a period of time what happens with oxidative stress and that free radical damage. So we all know that to prevent oxidation, we need to take antioxidants. But the problem is we're simply not getting enough from our diets. So I hope this is useful for you all so far. What I want to touch on is the importance of supplementation. This is really important to boost our immune system. And most people know that coming into the cooler months and into winter, it's a good idea to boost our bodies, and particularly with antioxidants. So besides trying to eat more fruit and vegetables with antioxidants like oranges and blueberries, which we don't get enough of in the right quantities, people are supplementing as well to really reduce the risk and chance of getting the cold and flu and now COVID-19. Now, vitamin C is a very important nutrient. It helps encourage the production of white blood cells, known as lymphocytes and phagocytes, which also help protect the body against infection. So it's great to take vitamin C. We would need to get, though, extremely high doses if we're going to use vitamin C supplementation, because vitamin C is eliminated extremely fast from the body. The next one is vitamin D. Now, vitamin D can modulate the innate and adaptive immune response, and there are actually vitamin D receptors and activating enzymes on the surfaces of all our white blood cells. So a deficiency in vitamin D is associated with an increased autoimmunity, as well as an increased susceptibility to infection. And what we know in Australia is that many people are vitamin D deficient. Probiotics is also really important. We know that our immune system is housed in our gut, and it's really important to have a healthy gut as well. So probiotics can really boost your immune system and protect against infection. We've got NRF2, which is an activator. It boosts the immune system by reducing oxidative stress, and it helps our body create its own pharmacy of antioxidants. And this is even more powerful than just taking our standard antioxidants. And then we've also got NRF1, which is important. So it's an important feature of mitochondria, and what it does, it can regulate activation, differentiation, and survival of immune cells. So in addition, it can also release signals such as the mitochondrial DNA and the mitochondrial ROS to regulate that transcription of the immune cells. And what you can see on the slide here is an antioxidant hierarchy. So what you can see down the bottom of the hierarchy or the pyramid in the blue are what's called exogenous or secondary antioxidants, meaning that we get them externally from our diets or through supplementation. So this is like taking vitamin C. It's like boosting your body with flavonoids and carotenoids, coenzyme Q10. And this is what many people start to do as we head into these cooler months to really try and prevent falling sick with the colds and flus and now COVID-19. Now, what you can see at the top of this hierarchy in the bright green are endogenous antioxidants. So these are the ones that our body makes. And these are even more powerful than taking them externally, the ones below, because this is our body's own pharmacy. Now, if you recall earlier, I said that the French scientist Luc Montagnier, the one that won the Nobel Prize for discovering the HIV virus, he said that we need an intervention on a cellular level, antioxidant production at a rate that will be effective. This is exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about boosting our body's own pharmacy, boosting our body's own antioxidants, boosting glutathione peroxidase, catalase, and superoxide dismutase. Now, if we can boost these, then we can fight oxidative stress at a rate of 1 million free radicals per cell per second, which really gives us a huge edge to preventing illness and falling sick. So, expanding on from this, what you can see on this is that everything we're seeing in the news about COVID-19 is another article that was written by Dr. Cirrus. He's a professor of natural oncology, the Da Vinci Institute of Holistic Medicine, and he's also founder of Natural Allopathic Medicine. Now, what he says is in this article, is that there are many antiviral medications. However, the best ones have side effects that can be more threatening to our overall health. What he says is that glutathione is the most important cellular defense that allows the body to prevent and fight infections and disease. Glutathione plays a crucial role in the immune response, the DNA repair, and the detoxification process that neutralizes drugs, chemicals, radiation, metabolic waste, and it beats down viruses, bacteria, reduces toxins, and carcinogens. And these are increasingly prevalent in our environment. So the immune system, it cannot function properly without enough glutathione. And antioxidants such as vitamin C and vitamin E also rely on glutathione to function properly within the body. So glutathione, it boosts white blood cell production to fight infection, particularly in the T cells, which are called our lymphocytes. The T cells are at the core of our immunity, and they tailor the body's immune response to pathogens that are recognized as being invasive. Now, glutathione boosts white cell production to fight infection, and it also protects us from viruses, especially like the herpes virus, the flu virus, which the COVID-19 is another version of the flu virus, and also from things like Ebola as well. So our white blood cells help to fight off these viruses, and they need an abundant supply of glutathione to be able to effectively protect us from invading microorganisms and viruses. Now, superoxide dismutase fights free radical damage and oxidative stress, as I said before, by 1 million free radicals per cell per second. So this is just so incredible when we start to think how we can really boost our immune and support our health and, really take charge of our body. So to truly boost our immune, I'm so excited to talk about this supplement here. It's a Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. Now, it activates the NRF2 pathway in the body, which up-regulates glutathione by 300%. How amazing is that? Especially when we just heard about all the benefits of glutathione and the immune response. So it also upregulates catalase by 54% and superoxide dismutase by 30%. So instead of relying on exogenous antioxidants from our vitamin supplements and food, we can truly enhance our body's own ability to produce those antioxidants like we saw in that hierarchy above. Now, Protandim NRF2 is a completely natural product. It's made up of 5 herbs that support the body, which is green tea extract. Many of you would have heard of that before, use green tea, I'm sure, quite regularly. It's a metabolism booster, a fat burner, and it's also a super powerful antioxidant. Turmeric is, I'm sure some of you use in your cooking. It's anti-inflammatory, Ashwagandha is a brain calmer. It reduces stress and anxiety. Bacopa reduces anxiety and also boosts brain function. And then we've also got milk thistle, which is a major detoxifier. Now, we make no claims to prevent, cure, mitigate disease, but what we know is that if we can reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and ongoing, then we have a powerful way to boost our own immunity and truly enhance our health. Now, we have over 1,200 medical doctors on board talking about NRF2 activation, and we also have prestigious medical research centres and universities that are doing their own self-funded studies, one of which, Washington State University, they said NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. It is our opinion that raising NRF2 is likely to be the most important health promoting approach into the foreseeable future. How incredible is that? Now, our NRF1 activator, it supports the mitochondria, and the mitochondria is in every single cell of the body. As I mentioned earlier, it's an important feature of our mitochondria is that it can regulate activation, differentiation, and the survival of our immune cells. So you can imagine when our mitochondria isn't functioning optimally, how this truly impacts the state of our health. So what NRF1 does is it activates that NRF1 pathway. It boosts the production of mitochondria, the biogenesis of mitochondria, which is the creation of new mitochondrial cells, and it also boosts our ATP production, which is our ability to produce energy in the body. NRF1 is also a completely natural product. It contains 5 ingredients: grapeseed extract, which is a powerful natural polyphenol. It has antigen capabilities, which means it's able to induce an immune response. It contains alpha lipoic acid, which supports healthy cellular aging. It boosts mitochondria production, and it also protects and fights against oxidation of the RNA and the mitochondria. We've got coenzyme Q10, which resides inside the mitochondria. And again, that also helps with the transports of electrons and compensates when the body makes less. Acetyl L-carnitine is an amino acid. It's an important building block for protein, and it also enhances mitochondria production synthesis and also the stability of our mitochondria. And then we've got quercetin as the last ingredient. That's an NRF1 activator. It supports mitochondria biogenesis. So again, that's the creation of new mitochondria. And lastly, I want to talk about the gut. So our microbiome is our body's ecosystem. And if one thing goes out of balance, it affects the whole ecosystem, just like we see in nature. We're predominantly 90% more microbial than human cells in a ratio of 10:1. So our immune system, it's housed in the gut. So I want you to think, do you think a healthy gut is important for our immune system? Absolutely. So our probiotic supplement helps support a healthy gut. It aids in the repopulation of good microflora, and it also leads to better absorption of nutrients, more resilience to infections and illness, and also proper bowel function to really eliminate waste and toxins. Our probiotic is different to what's in the marketplace because it's encapsulated in a vegetarian capsule, which takes 52 minutes to break down in the stomach, which means that it actually survives the harsh stomach acid and also reaches the small intestine, which is where our nutrients are absorbed. So the company does dissolution testing at a pH of 2.5, and they do this for 30 minutes to make sure that it does survive that stomach acid. So it's really important to have a healthy gut. So to truly boost your body's defense, to have the best chance in staying well this autumn and winter, and I really encourage you to speak to the person who invited you here tonight to have a look at our activated essentials. This is going to help support your health. It's going to help support your immune. I want to thank you all for your time tonight, for being here tonight. I hope you all got a lot of valuable information, and please make sure you get back to the person who invited you tonight. Have a talk to them, because knowledge is great, but knowledge is power when you actually put it into action. So take care, look after yourself, look after your families, stay safe, and do everything you can to really boost your health and be proactive in the actions that you take. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you all soon.